Well, hello and welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to be painting some of Haster's Guardians. Shouldn't be too long a video. They're quite plain figures. Should be fairly straightforward. We had enough figures in the box set painted to actually do Season 1, Episode 1 the other day, our very first game of Death May Die. And it's actually quite a nail-biting game. It's very backwards and forwards. It's like you use all your abilities, you clear out all of the minions and all the monsters, and then bugger me, the next turn they're all back again. And it's like, oh my god, we're all trapped, we're all doomed, everybody's on fire. So really did enjoy the game. And like I said, maybe I'll have to look at actually filming an episode when all my friends come round and actually sort of talk through the high points, the low points, maybe some tactics and things like that once we've done a few games. But it's really inspired me now to finish the rest of the box. I've had a couple of weeks away from filming. I'm actually playing in a Dungeons and Dragons campaign at the moment. We're out in Sparta and Hades, and all of these minions have changed the time stream, and we're trying to turn everything back to normal. And my DM needed a few miniatures painted, quite a few miniatures painting for one of the battles we were having. So I've been busy doing those, but now I'm back on track, and today we're going to start with Haster's minions. So that sort of means I've got to do Haster next and finish the box. So the Chthonian and the Haster miniature need to be next. So hopefully, maybe in the next few days I'll get those done. But for now, to the table! So here we have the bodyguard for the King in Yellow, the avatar of Haster. I've base coated in Vallejo black, and I was originally going to do just the recesses in green, but what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to base coat all of the robes in camouflage green, camouflage olive even, by Vallejo, and just work my way around the model and give all of the robes a coating in green. So going from this nice dark green colour, we're now going to move over into browns, try and blend through and keep some of the green present to give it that mouldy undertones, blend in some reds as we go through the layers to give it that, definitely that sanguine, I've been at a sacrifice type of a look, and we'll see how that works. So I've actually put some filthy brown over here on the palette, and I'm going to mix the filthy brown in with the green and get sort of greeny yellow colour going, and then we're going to take that onto the sort of more higher areas of the robes and start to work at bringing the colours through, and we'll just gently put those on there, and we'll see how the colour looks as it settles, and we will slowly work our way through to brighter yellows, and we're just going to catch sort of partially into the recesses but not completely. We'll see what sort of effect we're getting, and then as we go we may plunge a little bit deeper into the shadows if it is that it starts to look a little too dark for the yellow. But we'll work our way around the robes, just slowly pushing a little bit deeper into the shadows there, giving it a little bit of you can see it, a little bit of relief, so that we're actually getting some depth developing, especially as we come around the upper robes here. We'll go a bit more coverage. We want to make it look a bit brighter on the top, and we'll work our way around, and I'll come back once we've sort of had a chance to get around there. Okay, so now we've mixed the filthy brown and the camo olive. You can see where the camo olive was previously, and then you can see this sort of filthy yellow looking colour blending in with that green, giving us those nice dirty textures. The sleeves on the arm and the underdress, I think we're going to go for like a browny colour to give the yellow a bit of contrast. So what we'll do now is we'll bring some more of the yellow, sun yellow from Vallejo. We'll bring that across and we'll now start to work on a little bit more on the highlights, get rid of some of the paint off my brush, and then get it just more towards the tip. We don't need to load too heavily. And then again, what we're going to do is just pick out the highlights and just gently stroke away. A little bit hatched, just to give it a little bit of texture. Just reinforce into the shadows a little way. And when you're on these upper surfaces, nice bit of hammer, but just getting a little bit of stippling going, just to give it, like I say, a little bit of texture on there and make it look like a fabric. And then as we go around the robe, we are going to pick out all of these like upper portions of the sleeve and just gently work our way around. And on the flatter surfaces you can go a bit more mad and give a bit better coverage, so like across here where it hangs on the bum. But again, like before, just keeping a bit of an irregularity to the strokes. They're not all quite smoothing together. They're not all going in the same direction. It'll just give you that little bit of a feeling of texture on the surface of the robe. And work our way down the robe up to those peak edges where you're going to get a lot more light, and you can be a bit stronger with your brush strokes on those upper surfaces. And then just a bit hatched again. I'm trying to get that sort of, some of the green coming through, so there is that dirty feel to these. I do want them to be, I suppose corrupt is a good word for it. Yeah, I want them to have that foulness to the texture of the fabric. So we'll go around all of the miniature again and just pick out those highlights, transitioning in slowly through, leaving that filth behind, and then we'll start to work on some of the brighter colours so that we can tell what colour the robe once was. So we've now left sort of the darker greens in the recesses. We're picking out the more yellow tones now, and so let's start to head to a bit of a brighter yellow, and we'll thin that down a little bit. Clean the brush and just pick up a little bit, because we're just going to really now just show what colour this robe once was on sort of the extreme highlights, where it's sort of getting a bit more wear and you've got little pockets of the yellow showing through. And then just pulling it to a saturation you're happy with. And a coverage that you're happy with. And if you've overdone an area, you can always pick up some of the old colour and just blend the two in while it's nice and wet. Okay, so that, you can see the colour of the robe, but we're getting that nice green, grungy colour going on in the background. Maybe just push that into the recesses a little bit further. I've taken a mixture of the old colour now, so it's not quite as bright as we've been working with, but I'm just working those shadows a little bit more subtly with the yellows. This section here is going to be part of the under brown habit that he's got on, so I'm going to leave that for the time being. Take out the bright again, and then on the upper sections here we can start to go a little bit more to town with the yellow. And just pull the yellow down gently onto some of these higher surfaces. And you can see we're now starting to get the yellow working for us. We'll probably make a first pass and then come back once we've done this, and then reinforce in the same colour and just give it another dose of saturation, if you like, so that we can be a bit subtle here, and then it will, as it dries, it'll let us see where we want to be in the next sort of approach with colour, and see how far we want to push the brightness of them. Right, so I'll work my way around the rest. Top of the hood's obviously going to get a lot of yellow on there. The front edge of this robe here on the chin, that's going to get a lot. Edges of the shoulders and here down the arm. So to give you a feel for the strength of the colours as you do the passes, this is the first pass with the yellow. On the shoulders I've gone a bit bolder in the first place anyway, but then on the rear, when I've done the second pass, obviously I've ended up reinforcing the colour and pushing the strength of it. But we've definitely got that grungy, dirty colour still coming through. So the next step we're going to have to be really careful with, because potentially we could ruin all we've done so far. But I definitely want to get that element of I went to the sacrifice last week and there's still evidence of it on my robe. Some of the stains didn't come out. Look, about you. So I've got some of the Express colour, Cardinal Purple, and a little bit of Gory Red, and we're just going to get those together. And the brush doesn't want to have an awful lot of colour on it, but what we want to do is just introduce some little splatters onto the robe. And as we place these little splatters around, we are going to highlight over the top of them, so they won't be quite as proud as when you first paint them on. So don't be too worried about if it just seems to look a little bit too strong. Don't worry, because we are going to attenuate that and bring the colour down a little bit. But I think it will add to the colour and the textures going on, and just give you something else to look at, and a little bit more depth and saturation on the actual figure itself. So that's the first layer. Okay, so I started putting a bit of deep yellow on the model. It's very transparent colour, so it is that as you put it on, it's really not going to add a lot to it, so it's very subtle colour shifts we're getting here. So when you're looking at like the edge of the hood, just like slapping the edge of the brush across the upper surface, increasing the intensity there. On that very front portion, where a lot of light's going to catch underneath the face, down the arms, and because it's transparent, the reds will bleed through, will catch the upper surfaces of the chest area and the arms. The upper surface of the hood obviously going to get a lot of highlight colour, and will catch a lot of it. Now this, because it is such a desaturated paint, even though you put the colour on, when you first hit it, you're going to think, oh, that's quite heavy. It will soak into those much darker tones we've got going on underneath, and it will mute off a little bit. So probably aim to be just a shade brighter than you were intending for when the colour settles into the lower paints. And we are actually, what this sort of reminds me of already is I've been watching a lot of the Trench Crusade stuff, and it sort of gives me that that feeling of that Trench Crusade, that dirty, blood-stained, monkey type of, not monk as in monk, not monkey, that type of look. And we're just going around popping these highlights on and pushing the colour so that we're getting a little bit of vibrancy, a little bit of something to look at on the board, and it's not just like this dirty brown blob that we're looking at on the board, and it's a bit boring to look at. So it's starting to come together now. We're nearly there on the yellows. But you still can see, although we've gone to quite a nice although we've gone to quite a nice vibrant colour on the upper surfaces, there's that dirty, filthy, blood-stained look about it. I'm quite pleased with how the results are going along, but we'll push the colour just a little bit further, and we'll add a little bit of ice white to the deep yellow. And we'll just go for a little bit of detail and highlight on the robe. So we'll just gently catch little portions of the upper surface area of the robes. We get a little bit of sunlight going on the top, so I just need to be a little bit careful we don't get too much on. Just catching those upper surfaces. I don't want to go too wild with it and ruin the look we've got, but just need to get a little bit of continuity going, because at the top of the hood here we've gone for quite a bit, and then missed a section here. So I don't want to go wild, but I do want some continuity on there. And the bottom portion of the miniature I've left much darker. So where the light is at the top, and it'll add to that sinister look. The middle of the chest we've got a charm, so that's going to be in gold in a second. But I think the yellow robes are looking pretty good at that. So let's move on to the arms and the inner robes. So what we'll do first is on the face mask we will do a preliminary coat of white, just trying to avoid the hair. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll get some paint into the eye area. We'll get a bit of flesh tone. So I've just got a little bit of flat flesh tone just to work into the eye area. And also onto the chin that's just popping out from the edge of the mask. And onto the neck area as well. And then we'll just give that a few moments to dry, and then we'll make a wash out of some burnt flesh, just adding a bit of extra water, and just drop that onto the skin. Let it do its magic and just fall into the recesses, poking the eyes as well. And then any excess colour we'll just suck out with the tip of the brush. There we go. Maybe just pop a little bit in just around the edges of the mask, just to darken those up a little bit. And then we'll get a little bit of black and just the bits that I've caught on the hair, and just redarken. And then just while we're waiting for the components of the face to dry, I've prepared some dark German brown black, which we're going to paint onto the sleeves and also onto the gap material just here. And that's going to be on both sides where there's a split. So having coated both sides in the German brown black, we'll now go with a bit of burnt umber mixed with a little bit of cork. And just come in and create a bit of a highlight on the material. There is some texture there to follow. Same on the other side. And then we'll go back in with the cork on its own. the highlight on there. And same again, then add a little bit of ice yellow to the cork. And just dab in a little bit of stippling, a little bit of line drawing, just to get an extra bit of highlight. And there. And then that means the face should be dry enough now to attack. So we'll get a little bit of scarlet blood. And the face mask, I want to be a mask of blood. So all that white that we put on earlier is now going to go red. Probably making life hard for myself because I probably should have done the eyes first. And if you notice, there's some sections of the mask that are left dark, which just means now it looks a bit more like a blood red skull. So with the scarlet blood that we've got, and with the deep yellow that we used before, we're going to make quite a pale reddy colour, and we're just going to dab that onto the bottom of the eyes and the upper portions of the face. So having done the German black brown on there, we'll grab the burnt umber and again mix with a little bit of the cork. And then just pick out the upper surfaces. Just towards the wrist, run a little bit further around to emphasise where the wrist is. Don't forget the wrist obviously the other side, hide behind the gum. And then we'll go to the cork. Exactly the same principle, but just a little bit less of the area covered. And then we'll get a tiny bit of the ice yellow. And then just for the really superficial highlights, okay. And then we've need to do both hands on the gun, and we're nearly there. So if the skin turns on the hands, we'll start off with dark flesh tone and just catch all of the fingers. On the back of the hand. Swap to this hand as well. Okay, and then we'll get the dwarven flesh tone. And touch the upper portions of the hand. . to just do the edges of the fingers. Okay, and then we'll get a bit of the higher pale flesh. So we'll dwarven and mix them together until we get that quite a sunlighty glow. And then just make sure you don't have a big blob on your brush, because we're going to need to be quite delicate here. It is literally just catching the edges where they would be standing a little bit proud and be able to catch a bit of sunshine. There we go. Now for both the gun and for the edges of the hair, we will use a tiny little bit of Vallejo's light grey. And then we'll just catch the top of the barrel of the gun. Where the magazine is. And we'll come this way on to just touch around the edge of the drum. Put a little highlight on the top. Just give it a go around the face. Okay. And I think I can just spot a little bit more detail there. And the same from the other side. Okay. Just draw a little bit of a line on there. And then we just need the emblem in the middle there, catches a bit of gold, bit of bling. So for the emblem on the chest, we'll grab some greedy gold. And then we'll pop a little bit of a highlight on. And to do that, we'll mix a little bit of silver with the greedy gold. It gives a little bit of a paler greedy gold. And just on the highlights again, little dots of colour. Now we just need to catch the butt of the gun, which is going to be, I think what we'll do is start off with a bit of that burnt umber we've already used. And then we'll get some of the flesh, the burnt flesh that we used earlier. And we'll just catch the bottom end of the gun. And then the final bit is just to catch the boots. So we'll go back in with the same colour virtually as the gun, to be honest. And what we'll do is we'll come in, just catch across the front to let everybody know it's a brown shoe or boot. And then just highlight with the dark flesh. And then just a quick stripe across the back. And just on the corner of the heels. And then it's just black the base. So that's the first of my King in Yellow's bodyguard all completed. I need to crack on with the other three and get them ready for the board now. And then of course our next video, I promise, is going to be the King in Yellow. So are we painting minis yet? Hell yeah! I'll catch you in the next one. See you soon, guys.